if you want to start looking into Blazing Dominion format and you want to start preparing for nationals, this is the first thing you need to look at, right? This is the first card that comes to mind when I think of Blazing Dominion format. It's Fidraulis Harmonia, because this card is in almost every top meta deck in the OCG right now. So let's start by looking at it. So when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, reveal this card in your hand and up to 5 synchros in your extra deck. Apply these effects in sequence based on the total number revealed. Also, you cannot activate the effects of monsters special summoned from the extra deck until the end of your next turn, except synchros. Realistically, we can skip all of this. We don't need to make it unnecessarily complicated. You're always going to reveal 5 synchros for this card. So you're always going to get all 3. And the reason why, even though you only reveal 5 synchros and there's a 6 here, is because it reveals itself and it counts itself. So if you reveal 5, you're revealing 6 cards total, so you get all of the effects. Special summon this card, send one of the revealed synchros to the graveyard, and destroy one monster your opponent controls. So this is essentially Ghost Ogre on Giga Crack. Because your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you summon it from your hand. It's a level 7 tuner, 2500 attack. You send a synchro from your extra deck to the graveyard, which obviously has some implications, and then you also destroy a monster your opponent controls. It's even better than Ghost Ogre in this sense, because you don't have to destroy the monster that you're responding to. You can destroy any monster on the field that you want. So if your opponent like activates one monster but you don't care about that one, you can still remove another one. Really good card. Really good card. And that is going to shape up the format significantly post Blazing Dominion. So much to the point where, like, if you look at the OCG metagame, most of the top tier decks are decks that can use this card, right? So the thing is, the question is, like, are these decks better because they can use this card, or do they just happen to be good and play the card at the same time? But from what I've heard from OCG players, like, people are specifically trying to play decks without like having to worry about the restrictions of this card, which is why decks like Cool Tune and Elf Note are at the top here, but also decks like Mitsurugi. This is pre-ban list, this metagame breakdown, but it is playing the hand trap as well, of course, because in Mitsurugi, being locked out of your extra deck isn't that big of a deal. Here's the first key difference for us. The first key difference is that we do not have Herald of the Arclight in the TCG, thank God, but that is going to make Fidraulis Harmonia a significantly weaker card in Mitsurugi specifically, because you cannot search Habakiri with it. Nonetheless, I would think that you still play the card in Mitsurugi, because why wouldn't you? Like, you don't particularly care about the lock, because the way the card is worded means that you can still summon from the extra deck. You just can't activate the effects of monsters summoned from the extra deck that aren't synchros, but you can still make like an IP Masquerena or a Dynamondo pass turn and then use them on your opponent's turn. CBOG, and thank you for the 11 months. So yeah, I would expect if Mitsurugi is in the format after Blazing Dominion, then they're still gonna play this card, right? They're not gonna send Herald with it, but you still can do some pretty good stuff with it. And then, of course, all the other synchro-based decks play the card as well. And essentially, cards like Enigmaster Packbit and Malong and the Wind Pegasus Ad Ignister are your main targets for it in those kind of decks, right? Like, you play, and you essentially get a double removal plus a body from it, which is really good. Personally, the way I feel about this card, I'm looking forward to it. Even though I do recognize that it is an incredibly powerful card. But I like that we're moving away from negation hand traps. I've kind of felt this way for a while now, but I just don't find the gameplay that negating provides, I don't find it interesting, because I feel like you just like trade with your opponent's starters and then see if your opponent can play or not. And I find it more enjoyable when, like, the turn 0 plays, the interactions are more centered around, like, yeah, you're interrupting your opponent a little bit, but it's more like removal based, or like, I don't know, like I enjoy playing against cards like Bestials more than Imperm or Ash or Impulse or whatever. So I like it, but I do recognize that it's a really powerful card. So I guess we'll see how it turns out. And I've especially one of the core like things that people have said is like these cards are powerful, but they are especially problematic if they are drawn together with Charmies, because then you activate a Charmy, your opponent develops a little bit, then you ruin their development, which then forces them to like commit more, and you get more and more cards, which I could see. Which is where the first feature match of today comes in, because on my Discord someone said, I suggest the semifinals and finals of the Japan Team Championship. The semifinals show why the power hand traps can be a problem, right? So let's take a look at this. If there's ever a card that's being played that we don't have in the TCG yet, I will quickly look it up and we will read the effect. But I assume because this one is Mitsurugi against Radiant Typhoon, for this one we're probably gonna be fine. Dude, these mats are so good. These mats are so good. Can I just say that? Can we have those mats? Didn't we get one of them as like a UDS cloth mat? The Slifer one is like $500, by the way. I mean, look, they're crazy. I don't know how you get them, but if they're like prizes at an official tournament with how good they look, yeah, they'd be expensive. All right, we're doing so far everything understandable. We're doing, I assume, in draw phase, we're doing Vision to draw, Chain Ascendance to search Mystical Space Typhoon. Dude, I love how they put like the blue sleeves on the Obelisk and then the red sleeves on the Slifer. This is best of one. I don't know exactly. This is a team tournament. I don't know if it's best of one. I guess we'll find out after the first game if it's best of one or not. But it's also 36 minutes, so it might very well be best of three. Oh, so yeah, they have 45 minutes. There's no way it's best of one. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good start for Radiant Typhoon. We're summoning Varurun in draw phase. Most OCG games are not best of one. I think isn't it literally just YCS Japan that is best of one? But this is not YCS Japan. This is just Japan Team Championships or something. Dude, this hand cooks. Okay, dude. Okay. Ooh, Impulse is decent. I think they can normal summon it though. It's not that great. The Obelisk playmat is the top 4. Is this, are they cloth mats or are they rubber mats? Rubber? Nice. This impulse feels like hand looping yourself, to be honest. Because they're just going to tribute summon the Crocea. I mean, I honestly, maybe you even just impulse. No, you can't impulse Varurun in hand because they didn't have a card on the field. So. What's the player on the left on? Because they kept saying Malice. I think it's Mitsurugi though. Is Radiant Typhoon this rogue in the OCG? Because like the player on the left is reading all of the Radiant Typhoon cards, which is surprising a little bit. Maybe it's just surprising from a TCG perspective where Radiant Typhoon is very popular. But I'm a little surprised that they have to like pick up Prosea. It is rogue at the moment. I guess it's fair enough because the power level in the OCG is much higher, and Radiant Typhoon as a mid-range deck tends to like suffer from that. Because a lot of the stuff that's legal in the OCG, Radiant Typhoon doesn't really benefit from it, right? Like it doesn't really get to make like Baron the Flare or something like that. The new Solemn destroys this deck? True, yeah. Baron is win, there should be a way. I mean, there's probably a way, but I don't think it's optimal. Like, at least the lists I'm seeing from the OCG, which is not very many, but I still don't think they play Baron very often. I think this deck has a somewhat bad Mitsu matchup. I don't know. In the TCG, it's not a bad matchup, genuinely, because it's really hard for Mitsurugi to play through Radiant Typhoon boards because the spell negation of the continuous trap is really potent against Mitsurugi. It does have a problem with Futsu though. Yeah, it can be problematic. On the other hand, Sheena is also a fantastic card against Mitsu. Bouncing all of the properly summoned rituals back to hand is really good. When Mitsu gets the new Demise card, I think that'll change. It helps for sure. I mean, what do you guys think about Mitsurugi's chances to survive in the OCG now that they put prayers to 1? Is prayers at 3 in the TCG? At the moment, yes. At the moment, yes. And I'm gonna be honest with you, for now, I don't think it'll change, is my personal prediction for prayers in the TCG. Because at the moment, Mitsurugi is not that popular in the TCG. I would not say Mitsurugi is problematic in the TCG right now. Like, some people are playing it and it's fine, but it's not everywhere. And especially they've taken care of all of the hybrid variations. Like, there's no real like Mitsurugi Raziel, Mitsurugi Yami or whatever, right? Like, none of that is a problem in the TCG right now. So, and the legendary modern decks are coming out in Europe soon, and the NA already has them, and that has 3 prayers in it, right? So I honestly, I think it's fine to keep Mitsurugi as it is for now. Like, they actually managed to do what they should have done in the TCG. They managed to do it. They made it so people play pure Mitsu, and that's it, right? Which took a while, admittedly, right? Like, there was a lot of bridges they had to burn before that was possible, but now it's actually people play pure Mitsu, and that's pretty much it. And that deck is, it's not even like the best deck in the format, it's just fine, it just exists. If we do get the Demise Ritual, that might be a different story. Do we have any idea when we're getting the Demise Ritual? Oh, negating Habakiri in hand. If you have two MSTs, it's okay. If you have one, it's incorrect. You should negate Saji Engrave. Oh, it doesn't get destroyed. Okay. I don't see a reason to do that over just negating whatever they tribute, because you just exhaust the once per turn. What does the Demise Ritual do? The Demise Ritual, it's just a ritual monster that you can reveal in your hand to banish a ritual spell from your deck and copy its effect. There, they're using it right now. So banish Mitsurugi Ritual from deck and now use the effect. So, and the really powerful thing in Mitsurugi about this is that you basically bypass the once per turn or twice per turn on Mitsurugi Ritual because you copy the effect. It does not count as activating the card. It also plays around the Mystical Space Typhoon negations quite nicely. Yeah, and it cannot be ashed even if you are summoning from deck. Last year, Battle of Legends had the quarter century Trinity box cards, so it would make sense to include Demise in Battles of Legends. Battles of Legends comes out soon, right? What's the order that we're talking? We have... Next thing is obviously Rarity Collection 5. Then we have the Legendary Modern decks for Europe. Then we have Blazing Dominion. And then we have Battles of Legends, but in June, right? Battles of Legends does not have Demise. Is that confirmed? Do we know the full list of the set? Why are you so sure about that? I'm not 100% okay, I think they're sending a spell here to avoid them chaining prayers, which makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's a good droplet. Keep in mind they could even import Demise in Blazing Dominion. Yeah, I guess. We don't know for sure, yeah. Where did the Demise release in the OCG? Like, what kind of set was it? It was a special box set. Oh, Droll and Lock Bird. I was about to say this game is about to get interesting, but no, it's not. Okay. Isn't Droll at 1? For this tournament, not yet. This tournament was a couple of days ago. And I think the ban list was in effect yesterday. I'm not entirely sure. But this is, I mean, also Mitsurugi. I think this Mitsurugi player does have 3 prayers. They're chaining the trap to draw to their own Droll and Lockbird. I mean, now it's just, now Mitsurugi is just messed up. Yep. And yet another game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That could have been very interesting. The player going first makes board and discards Droll. It is what it is. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, is that they need to make sure we play engine versus engine. Because engine versus engine Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so fun right now. Like, every single game you go second and your opponent makes a board, you're just like praying to God they don't have the broken non-engine with it, and then you can play some good Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, that's what they need to do. If they import the Endymion stuff, do you think Spellcaster Slop is viable? Probably, yeah. It's probably okay. I mean, they got some really powerful tools. I think it depends a little bit on whether Fairy Tail Snow comes back to buff the Fairy Tail support. Because the Fairy Tail stuff is pretty solid. Okay, did not get rolled. Park champion. Would you be okay with banning all the Ghost Girls, or is that too much? I don't think you have to go that far. All the Ghost Girls is not necessary. I think I'd be a fan if they did it to Ash Blossom. I think all the others are fine. Ghost Ogre is the coolest because it's removal and not negation. I think that's the healthiest form. So I would never hit Ghost Ogre. I think Bell is fine because it tends to be like, the way that Bell works is just usually it doesn't trade with a starter because most starters don't do the things that Bell can negate. Usually Bell is used on a choke point later in the combo, which is what I would want from interactions like this, right? Like I think Bell is fine because it very rarely trades with the starter. It's usually something you do like, okay, hit a Draco Tail Flame, or hit a Prayers on your turn, hit a Mitsurugi in the graveyard, hit Prosea later down the line. Like, but you basically never just stop your opponent from playing the game with Bell, which I think is more fun and healthier. Okay, they don't play... Apparently they don't play Night Sword Serpent, so they just go send a second Aramasa. But if they write more cards like Cool Tune, it becomes a second Ash. A second Ash that can never negate Charmies, I guess. But like, yeah, you're right. The more cards they make, because I think they made a lot of the cards nowadays. Most of the cards that add from deck, they add from deck or grave so that they can also play around Droll and Lockbird a little bit better. But then they end up playing into Bell. That's true.
三剣カードを加えるよってここから加えてまた打ってるというちょっと省略しながら
っていますよね。三剣の心境発動です。こちらは、手札もしくは墓地からの儀式召喚のカード、手札から裏符の儀式召喚、リリースした普通の見た目も三剣のまた効果を使っていきます。
リリースされて自分が戻ってきて三剣カードがまた加わるので今度は三剣感情を加えましたね。
Then banned roll, I guess. I mean, that's the one thing. That's the one thing the OCG has over the TCG at the moment. They are hitting non-engine harder, right? The way I would say it is like the TCG is far ahead on hitting engine and extra deck cards. Like the TCG is doing that way better, but somehow the TCG is not hitting non-engine basically at all, right? But the OCG has done a couple of things, right? They hit Droll harder than TCG. They hit Ash a little bit. They hit Impulse a little bit. But then again, the most recent OCG ban list was pretty awful, right? Like the one before that was pretty good for the OCG, but the last one was outrageously bad, right? So. Alright, we sniped the trap with MST. I wonder if that's going to end up being good or not, because... I'm not the only one who sees this, right? I'm not the only one who sees every time the player goes first and then discards the non-engine from their hand, the other player scoops, right? I'm not crazy, right? I'm not crazy. You guys are seeing this too, right? They added Megala with Chant, which is crazy as well. That means their hand's got to be even more gas, right? You wouldn't add Megala if that was your only play. They have to have another Radiant Typhoon spell, otherwise that makes no sense. Yeah.
出てくるところで考えます。
かもしくはここに当てさせてから今度はメガラを通したいと。裏に抱えてる速攻魔法で
読み合いがここはあるわけですね。福助選手はここの決断は大きいかもしれません。
スエン止めたくなるけど、スエン
まあこう見るとメガラを起動するためにスエンで速攻魔法を持ってきたいのかなって思いますよね。
思いますし、思わせてるかもしれないしというところで、
どっちなのか
難しい。
本当にそうなのか、福助選手の思考
Wait, what's happening? Who's thinking about what?
まあかつまあモンスターの頭
Who has the toggle right now?
リンクのバルルーンとか行けば最終的なサイクルとかが手に入ってきますので。
なるほど、二段構えですか。
そうですね、内先サイクルの内先のカードとかまであればメガラの効果までは起動できるのかなと。
ミツ？
ここはかなり時間を使います。ここが勝負どころかもしれませんね。
そうですね、そもそもやっぱりこういった形でどんどんポンポンモンスターが並んでいくので、
I think Mitsu is thinking on the Swen.
ステージもあるんですけども、このモンスターの頭数でリンクしたりエクシーズしたりっていうのができますから、カードを増やさないように妨害は当てたいんですけど、リンクエクシーズを呼び込む種にもなってしまうというところで、
ここまで考えるとなると、もしかするとフィドラリス・ハルモニアのようなカードをその
Well, you gotta make a decision at some point. Dude, Harmonia goes crazy here, actually. Yeah, no, at Gamma. Oh,
ガンマですね、はい、モンスター交換無効にするか。
無効にし破壊していく。デッキからサイフレンドライバーを特殊召喚して
that could be big. That could be big because if they don't have another Radiant Typhoon spell, they might not be able to trigger the Megala. It's honestly, I just want to point out, it was really risky from the Radiant Typhoon player to special summon the Megala first. Because if the Mitsurugi player had Fidraulis Harmonia here, they could have popped the Megala before they get to trigger it, which would have been really bad for them. It was definitely correct to summon Swen first and then Megala after the Swen has successfully resolved.
によってはこれでメガラは
They did not get punished for it though.
巻き込んでしまうとさらなるモンスターを呼び込めないのかなというところになりますが、
福助選手とユナユナ選手、ここで他の別宅の状況が入ってきていますが、シーアーチャー選手対銀色選手の試合はシーアーチャー選手が 2-0 で勝利したということですね。
チームとしてはスニダリンが
I don't know if I like searching Megala there, honestly.
となると
I don't know if I like searching Megala. You can just search Eldam and then Eldam for Megala, and that just feels like a free extra body, which would solve a lot of problems right now for them.
かね。
この考えてる感じでエクサディキも手をかけてますから、まあ、ここでリンクにを作っておくかどうか。
Unless they already have Eldam, in which case it makes sense.
福助選手、これは
But it doesn't look like it.
一番いいところに当てたかもしれません。
モンスターの頭数が減らせたというところでガンマが一番強い。
ユナユナ選手もサイフレムギアガンマまでは読んでいたかどうか。
向こうとかまでならね。
Is Gamma also at 1 in OCG? I think so, right?
おそらく春うららのようなカードを先に
Yeah, they just link off the Megala now.
盲点になりやすいカードではあります。リンク召喚です。
That's rough.
絢爛たる海霊バー
That's rough. Which means that tells
確認します。
the opponent a lot about their hand. It means they don't have.
墓地からサイクロンを加えることができます。
ただまあメガラ
Oh, they do have Fidraulis. Oh my god.
本日1枚目。
Oh my god. They got owned.
自身とエクストラデッキのシンクロモンスターを5体まで見せて発動。見せた数によって
Right. It searches Habakiri is so fucked up.
によって絢爛なる剣能
God no.
使わ
Oh my god. That is so disgusting. Oh, that is so disgusting.
儀式モンスターを
Oh my god. Yeah.
でしょうね。
三剣側はアークデクレアラーによって
Dude,
展開の起点になるカード
that is so messed up.
ここがね、
It's so messed up specifically in Mitsurugi because they have Herald of the Arclight. Not banning Herald of the Arclight on the most recent ban list is completely insane in the OCG, by the way. It's completely insane.
なってしまうので、
福助選
Nah. I'm so happy they banned Arclight before we got this card. It's actually so important for the health of the game that Arclight is gone. Man. Bruh. It's even better in the OCG because you can choose between searching Habakiri and the Demise Ritual. Which, if you already have a play, the Demise Ritual just lets you play through everything. Bruh, they got owned. Nah, it's Jover. I mean, yeah, one of the sets is probably Space Typhoon. That does nothing. We need a Droll carry. Dude, the only thing that carries this is potentially Dimensional Barrier. That's a card that could carry this. But Droll, at this point, Droll wouldn't even carry because they don't even have follow-up. Alright, I guess this match teaches us one big lesson already about the power of Fidraulis Harmonia. At the same time, it is a power of Fidraulis Harmonia that does not apply for us, thankfully, because we do not have Herald of the Arclight. But this is something that is going to be potentially the case in Master Duel as well, because they have not made any effort to get rid of Arclight in Master Duel either. So there's a chance that once we get those cards, like, that's the thing you're gonna see people doing. One prayers though. Yeah, I mean, it's just a fundamental difference in philosophy, right, between OCG and TCG, right? In the TCG, they are actually willing to ban the actual problems, at least in some cases, not every time. But in these cases, you know, like Arclight, Paralimp, whatever, and in the OCG, it's like, okay, you know what, we're gonna limit some consistency, and it's the same thing that's happening in Master Duel right now. That was my biggest criticism of the most recent Master Duel ban list, was like, yeah, a lot of hits to the meta decks, but like one Cupsy is not gonna get rid of Yummy. You know, like that's not how it works. OCG and Master Duel simply hate getting rid of decks. See, but I don't necessarily think it means that, right? I don't. Oh, Droll again. I think it's too late for that though. Like, in the TCG, they didn't actually get rid of these decks either, right? Like, Yami is still around in TCG. Mitsurugi is still around in TCG. But, like, they just feel more fair to play against. Which is, from my perspective, from what I'm seeing people say online, that's exactly what people want, right? They don't want the decks to die, necessarily. They just want them to be more balanced and more in line with, like, the power level of the rest of the format. Which you don't achieve this by consistency hitting stuff. Because consistency just means like you can still do the same things as before, the same broken shit as before as possible. You just sometimes brick, which is not which is not a really enjoyable like gameplay experience for most people.
おそらく水剣降臨を加えてもう一度儀式召喚につなげるでしょうか。
次はデッキからも出せますからね。
そうですね。加えるのはしかし水剣降臨ではなく墓地の荒政です。ユナユナ選手はここに考えます。墓穴の指名者のようなカードも考えられますか。しかし戻しました。そして2体でリンク召喚しますか。シングル召喚。
Oh, dude, I just realized the synergy between the Mize ritual and Psychic End Punisher is also disgusting, right? Because you just pay 2,000 and now your Punisher is just unaffected and gets pretty big immediately. You basically set it up really nicely. You need Fidraulis though? I mean, yeah, of course, yeah, but still, like, Fidraulis basically sets this up in one card. Because Fidraulis, Send Herald, Search Demise gives you that. And then, yeah, Prayers also you can pay 800 with, so the Psychic End Punisher gets really big really fast. Fidraulis with Herald and Baron, it seems so illegal. I mean, look, yeah, this is basically, we're always going to see this when we watch OCG feature matches. The power level difference between these two formats is actually disgusting. Genuinely every time I watch OCG format duels, I'm always thankful for what we have in the TCG. It's not perfect. There's cards I complain about in the TCG as well. Not everything is better here, but dude, it's it's a world of a difference, man. How are time rules in OCG? I think they got extra turns still. Or no, they definitely have life points still. I don't know if they have extra turns. But I'm a little worried about that too right now, because technically if time was called right now and they had our old time rules, then Radiant Typhoon would win. So I'm a little worried about why the Mitsurugi player is not hurrying up a little bit. If he thinks about this Mitsurugi ritual for 40 seconds and ends up losing in time, that is... It is extra turns? Oh, okay, that might explain why he's not so worried. Bro, genuinely, if it's old time rules, if it's old TCG time rules, he loses probably. I don't think he resolves all of this in 10 seconds. Dude, there's no way, right? Dude, imagine this was a TCG feature match from last year. No, he gets to attack. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that was dude, that was the most interactive out of those 3 games. But yeah, no, the first and the second one were just go first, discard my non-engine, win the game.